Truth is stranger than fiction. I've heard this saying before, but there are people in this world who do stupid things beyond imagination. I had quite an unusual experience. My name is Sarah. I met my boyfriend, David, through a mutual friend. After dating for a little over a year, it was somewhat of a natural progression that we ended up getting married. As we began our new life together, I moved into his apartment. Organizing our belongings, we were all set to submit our marriage registration. That was when I was suddenly struck with a fever. Diagnosed with the flu at the hospital, David said, "I'll go and submit the marriage registration," and I entrusted him with it. Hours later, I heard David return and a sweet female voice calling out, "David." I wondered if he'd bring another woman home because I was sick. But it wasn't a misunderstanding due to my fever. He returned home with his mother. His mother opened the door to our bedroom and asked, "Sarah? Aren't you going to come out and greet me?" Demanding greetings from a sick person? What kind of dictator is she? Pretending to be asleep, I was then subjected to another attack from his mother. She forcibly removed my blanket and exclaimed, "You're still in your pajamas." Well, that was because I was sick. "Get up and change at once." "You look disgraceful," she demanded, trying to pull me out of bed. "Please leave me alone. I have the flu and it's contagious," I blurted out in my fluster. Where was David? Then I heard the loud sound of the TV. He seemed to be watching a comedy show in the living room. He was laughing along with the audience. "David, your mother is attacking your wife here. You call yourself a wife? Unbelievable. Fine, if you're too sick to cook, I'll prepare David's meal. Be grateful, you useless fool," she shouted before storming out of the room. Her attitude towards someone who was sick in bed. She was just evil. "David, I'm making your dinner." "Okay. I actually heard you say that to Sarah." Exhausted by the parent-child conversation I overheard, I felt completely drained. If you heard, why didn't you stop her? Frustrated by his lack of intervention and his mother's continuous abuse towards me, my irritation with David grew. Unable to sleep peacefully, it took 5 days for my fever to subside. I should never have agreed to marry him. I was already missing my single life. After a 2-day rest period, I finally returned to work and let my boss know that I was married. Since we had no plans for a wedding ceremony, I only informed him and the HR department. Being somewhat of a loner at work, I only had one friend, Anna, who was working in HR. "Congratulations on your marriage. A week off for the honeymoon? I'm jealous." I could only sigh at Anna's teasing smile. I just fell ill with the flu and got tormented by my mother-in-law. What? That's hilariously tragic. I didn't find it funny at all. Subsequently, I received instructions from her. "It's been a week since you filed your marriage registration. You should be able to get some paperwork with your new name and residential address written on it. Go get it. Once that's done, please let me know so I can update all your details in our system." I listened to these instructions with a serious face. At that moment, all I could think was just getting a divorce. I never expected such a shocking turn of events. After work, I immediately headed to the city hall to request for the paperwork I was advised to get. What? Looking at the surname on the paperwork, I knew something wasn't right. It still had my maiden name printed on it. What does this mean? I quickly texted Anna. My name on the paperwork is still my maiden name. Why is that? She replied almost instantly. I don't think your marriage has been registered. Don't tell me. I thought I was married, but it was all in my head. I think you are right. Shocking, isn't it? Anna must have gotten irritated by our message exchange, because she called me. You haven't been scammed out of money, have you? No. The only thing I've lost is my freedom to relax and sleep. Just in case, make sure that you apply for an annulment of your marriage. Your husband might be a con artist. A con artist. The person I'd been with for more than a year, a con artist. That sounded extreme, but thinking about his evil mother, that could be possible. I took Anna's wise advice and applied for an annulment of my marriage. Aren't you shocked? Asked by Anna, who was still on the phone. I just stared blankly into space. Looked at objectively, being betrayed by your partner should be shocking. But having experienced the bullying by David's mother when I was sick, and also seen David's being a mommy's boy, I've just realized, surprisingly, I'm not in love with David any longer. Well, enduring the kind of treatment I got from David's mother wouldn't be good for me. If you're okay, that's good then. But what was going on with your boyfriend, I wonder? Indeed, I was curious about his intentions. There's got to be something going on. Not filing the marriage registration, something that would be found out about immediately. Just like you did today. That was true. David is 27 years old, having a decent job. Surely, he knew his lie would be revealed right away. There might be something more to the story, and he was actually committing marriage fraud? Maybe he was testing you? If you couldn't figure that out, that'd make you a perfect target for scammers. I was offended to be considered such a fool. I'm not going to forgive him for what he's done. Fueled by anger, I made a decision. I boasted to Anna, but what I actually managed to do was rather mundane. Just recording conversations. Watching myself record conversations between David and his mother, I felt like I was the one committing a crime. After about 3 days of trying, all I got was more of his mother's bullying towards me. And the conversations between the mama's boy and his mother. I lost interest before finding any solid evidence. I got bored. Being a detective's not an easy job. But I was unaware. That very day, after sending such a text message to Anna, an unexpected turn of events awaited me. At dinner, eating his mother's bland beef stew and enduring the usual verbal attacks from her. I must have looked dead inside. Seeing my mentally drained state, his mother looked at me with satisfaction and let out a chuckle. You look unhappy ever since you got married, Sarah. But you know, it's because you're not doing well as a wife, so I'm here to teach you. You need to understand and be grateful for that. I see. I couldn't even muster the energy to respond properly. What kind of answer was that? What a horrible woman you are. David. It's really good that she's not your wife after all. Wait, she knew I wasn't his wife? She was bullying me even though she knew I wasn't her daughter-in-law? Mom, that's... Oops, I let it slip. My bad. She said, fake coughing and looking at me. I'll tell you what. David and I had a plan. A plan for our happiness. What? Such an unexpected twist. I thought David was acting alone, but his mother was part of the fraud as well. Did they realize I was snooping around? What did she even mean by our happiness? Amused by this novel-like development, I listened. You seem unaware, so let me tell you. Your marriage registration was never filed. That means you and David are still strangers. Yes, I knew that. I felt bad, but I did it because Mom told me to. Before it was too late, we wanted to know if you were the right person for David. If you were no good, he could just have you bear his child and then leave you. That way, we wouldn't have to tarnish our family records, right? They wanted a child. Not my money? What exactly do you mean? The reason why we didn't file your marriage registration was that we were just testing you to see if you could be a good wife. What? Was that it? Could any novel have such a boring plot? That's just... my 3 days of effort, all for nothing. I dropped my eyes and walked to our bedroom. Packed in advance in case I needed to flee if my eavesdropping was discovered, I grabbed my bags. David, in a panic, came up to me. I never meant to hurt your feelings. It's okay. Goodbye. I said, looking down. What else could I say? Was I going out with a con artist? Sounded like a fiction movie. My parents were surprised when I suddenly returned home. When I told them what happened, they were speechless with their mouths agape. Since it was very late, they just told me to go to bed, treating me with great caution. As the next day was Sunday, I vented all night to Anna and a few other friends at a nearby pub. I was over it by next day, but I was completely unaware of what was happening. On Monday night, the doorbell rang at my parents' house. And my father's angry voice echoed, "Get out." Rushing down, I found David at the entrance. His mother was there too, standing behind him. "Sarah. I need you to listen to me," David pleaded, pushing past my father. Why? What do you mean, why? We were doing fine when we were going out, right? Just listen to me. David started. Apparently, through a friend, word got around and everyone got to know the way he treated me. His coworkers, our mutual friends. When he went to work, he faced icy stares. He pressed for answers, and a friend said to him, "So you committed blatant marriage fraud." Come to think of it, one of David's coworkers was at our all-night venting session. David seemed to think that by earning my forgiveness, he could mend his relationships with all his coworkers. I never intended to deceive you. I was planning to secretly file our marriage registration later on. Come on, you didn't think I would find out? You're not that stupid, are you? I went to get some legal documents and found out immediately. Really? He just didn't know? I felt foolish for suspecting something more sinister. As I stood there dumbfounded, his mother barged in, "You knew and still stayed with David for a few days. Forgive him at once. Then I'll acknowledge you as my daughter-in-law." Seriously? I really don't care what you think anymore. Even if you beg me, I don't want to be your daughter-in-law. What did you say? Your son is a mama's boy, and your cooking is terrible. I'm sick of your bullying and your stupid sarcasm. What? I continued as his mother trembled. Your exact word was, "Have me bear his child and not tarnish the family records." Isn't that a serious violation of human rights? Didn't you even think that I wasn't just a tool but someone with feelings? Don't talk to my mom like that. Do you still not see what's happening? What? What you did was called marriage fraud. I didn't do anything wrong. You stole my precious time. Time is a valuable asset, you idiot. I almost grabbed David by the collar, but my father intervened. Sarah, that's enough. The neighbors are clapping. I realized we had caused a commotion at the entrance, and our neighbors were clapping, saying, "Go Sarah." Meanwhile, people who knew David and his mother were whispering rumors. I threatened the pale-faced David and his mother, "Don't ever show your faces here again. If I see you near my house, I'll call the police." Then, as an afterthought, I added, "David, I have recorded conversations of me being bullied by your mother. I'll be claiming compensation. Just expect a call from my lawyer." Smiling triumphantly, I said those last words. Afterward, David's situation remained dismal. He was ostracized and removed from the team projects, relegated to a position in the document managing department. Effectively, it was a notice of redundancy. My gossip-loving mother told me what happened to David's mother. Apparently, at the time of our confrontation at my parents' house, someone she knew was there. And they became known in the neighborhood as the fraudster mother and son. They lived a constrained life, always trying to hide when going out. All of this was the result of their own foolishness. I quite liked the way things ended for David and his mother.